Alright guys, we've got some massive Blockbound updates to cover today, from some super hyped characters being officially confirmed, to teasers for a custom LMS, a huge dev Q&A revealing a bunch of insane new details, and even more surprises. There's a lot to break down. You definitely don't want to miss this one, so let's get right into it. Firstly, I want to talk about a super hyped character that's officially been confirmed to be coming to Blockbound. Recently, the updated roster was posted for everyone to see, and there are a ton of awesome characters on it. But one thing that really stood out is that some characters actually require special permission to be added, and one of the biggest names on that list is Grox. This is mainly because Grox is the character and persona of a real YouTube creator, meaning the devs can't just take the character and add him without permission. Because of that, Soulless started trying to get in contact with Grox directly to ask for permission to include him as a killer in the game. And thankfully, that actually worked out. Soulless managed to reach him, and Grox gave full permission, and on top of that, he also agreed to have custom voice lines added specifically for his killer. Naturally, this confirmation instantly got the community super hyped. Grox has easily been one of the most demanded characters on the entire roster ever since Blockbound was first revealed, so finally knowing he's actually coming is a huge win. Now, as for when we'll actually get to see Grox in game, it was confirmed that YouTube characters will not be available at launch and will instead be added in future updates. That said, there's a very real chance that Grox could end up being one of the very first killers after release. This is because Soulless recently ran a poll asking the community if players should be allowed to vote on which killer is added next, and almost everyone voted yes. If this system is implemented, I honestly wouldn't be surprised at all if Grox ends up winning, simply because of how popular he already is. Letting the community decide future killers like this would be a great move. It would create way more hype around updates, keep players actively involved, and make sure that the characters people actually want are the ones getting released. If Blockbound continues in this direction, the future after the release is looking great. But that's not all. In the updated roster, you can also see that King Orange and the Stick Gang both require special permission to be added into Blockbound as well. And of course, that makes total sense since they're characters created by Alan Becker. Because of that, they couldn't just be taken and added to the game without direct approval. Thankfully though, Soulless recently made an announcement confirming that Alan Becker has officially given permission for Blockbound to use King Orange as a killer and the Stick Gang as survivors, which is honestly huge news. This is a massive win for the community, especially for fans of animator versus animation. Just like the YouTube characters, these characters will be added in a future update, not at launch. And once again, the idea of letting the community vote on which killer gets added next still applies here. Considering how insanely popular King Orange is, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he ends up being one of the top picks when that vote eventually happens. This just shows how serious Blockbound is about doing things properly and getting official permissions instead of cutting corners. Nextly, I want to talk about some really exciting teasers for custom LMS themes that were recently shared in the official Discord for Blockbound. In a devlog post, Soulless uploaded an audio teaser with the caption Hero Brian and Steve LMS, and along with that, he provided a short audio clip of what is most likely the beginning of their custom Last Man Standing theme. Take a listen. From what we can hear so far, it sounds like a slow build-up, gradually getting more intense, and honestly, it already sounds really good. Even from this short preview, you can tell they're putting a lot of effort into making this LMS feel dramatic and cinematic. But that's not the only teaser we've seen related to a custom LMS. A while ago, a fan actually made a fan-made cutscene concept that would play at the start of a custom LMS, and it looked incredible. The animation, timing, and presentation were all super clean. What makes this even better is that Soulless actually acknowledged it and even called it peak, which means he genuinely liked the idea. Someone else on the team also mentioned that Soulless was actively considering adding something like that into the game. So there's a real chance that in the future, custom Last Man Standings won't just be about music. We could also get cinematic cutscenes for Last Man Standing situations. And honestly, that would be amazing. It would make those moments way more tense, way more dramatic, and it would give Blockbound another huge way to separate itself from other asymmetrical horror games. Next up, I wanted to go over a few extra pieces of information about the game because a while ago, Soulless held a Q&A on Twitter and dropped a bunch of really interesting details about Blockbound that are definitely worth talking about. So firstly, one of the biggest reveals from this Q&A was that the playtest might actually arrive in just 1 to 2 months, which is honestly insane. The fact that they're aiming to have Herobrine, Jesse, Steve, and multiple maps playable within that time frame is a huge deal. That's a lot of content for such a short development window, and it really shows how hard the team is working on this project behind the scenes. As for the full release, Zota's estimated that it would likely take around 3 or more months after the playtest. Of course, game development is always unpredictable, so these should definitely be treated as rough goals rather than set in stone dates, but even so, the progress so far is extremely promising. The next major topic Zota's talked about was game modes, and this is where things get really crazy. He confirmed that they do plan on adding different game modes, and so far, the only one that has been officially approved is the Witherstorm game mode. Just hearing that name alone already sounds wild. Personally, I'm guessing it's going to work somewhat like Evil Scary from Die of Death, but on steroids. The Witherstorm will probably aggressively chase everyone in the match, using things like tractor beams, wither skulls, and massive attacks that can kill not only survivors, but even the killer itself. If that's even close to how it ends up functioning, this game mode is going to be pure chaos in the best way possible. Another really important thing Zota has mentioned is that matches will include special random events that require teamwork, defending objectives, and general survival. From the way he described it, these events might actually serve as a replacement for the traditional generator-style gameplay that most asymmetrical horror games rely on. Instead of just doing the same repetitive objective every match, these events could completely change what you're required to do. For example, one match might have everyone defending a structure from waves of mobs, another could involve surviving a zombie horde, protecting an NPC, or completing a timed survival challenge together. There's also a chance that these aren't just mid-match events and could actually be separate game modes entirely. Either way, this system sounds super unique and would add a massive amount of replayability to the game. Now lastly, this wasn't directly part of the Q&A, but I still wanted to mention it because it's really interesting. Someone brought up Soulless Steve, who, if you don't know, is the brutal version of Steve from Avocado Animations. Zota has responded by saying that his moveset is shaping up to be very interesting and that he's excited to see how the community reacts to it. After reading that, I honestly have a pretty good idea of what his kit might look like. This comment perfectly describes what his moveset could be. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Soulless Steve is able to capture or imprison survivors and then use them to buff himself, which would perfectly match the way he behaves in the animations. If they actually go in that direction, his gameplay could end up being one of the most dangerous and intimidating in the entire roster. There was definitely a lot more covered in this Q&A that I didn't get into here, but these were the biggest highlights that really stood out to me. If you're interested in the deeper details, I definitely recommend checking out the full thread for yourself because it gives a really good look at just how ambitious Blockbound is shaping up to be. Anyways, that's all for today. Remember to stay safe and I'll catch you all in the next one.